Hi everyone, this is SAAD. As many of you know, several years ago, both Jordan Peterson and I appeared in front of the Canadian Senate to discuss some of the issues dealing with Bill C-16, which was the bill that sought to incorporate gender identity and gender expression within the rubric of hate crimes and so on. And of course, as I've certainly repeated endless times, and I'm sure I can speak here for my buddy Jordan, we're obviously for transgender rights in the sense that we believe that people should live free of discrimination, of bigotry, of hate. But of course, that applies to any person living in a free and just society. Our concern was that there were certain downstream effects of legislating the types of behaviors, language use that were implicit in the bill in question, that we wanted to raise some concerns. In my case, I'll speak for myself now, my concerns were well beyond those of Jordan, who, of course, gained quite a bit of fame because of his desire to warn people that, the idea that you should have compelled speech, in other words, that you should be forced to adhere to someone's request of which gender pronouns that you should address them by, that was something that he wasn't willing to do and didn't feel comfortable that it should be something that should be legislated. So in his case, he was concerned that the government could compel you to use gender pronouns that you weren't comfortable using. Not because you're a bad person, but because in a free society, no one should be compelled to address another in a particular way. Now, in my case, when I appear in front of the Canadian Senate, and you can certainly listen to my testimony and then the subsequent conversation with the senators, I argued that there were many downstream effects, the proverbial slippery slope, where if you push the trajectory of the lunacy to its illogical ends, then all sorts of craziness would happen. And of course, at every step of the way, I've been vindicated. And so today what I wanted to do is just discuss two examples that have come across my desk, and in this case, I mean in my emails, 2 of a million, that further vindicate Jordan and yours truly in terms of the concerns that we raised. So in one case, this was several months ago, I received an email from someone who was a doctoral candidate. I won't mention any details where the person was working. I won't identify anything because I suspect they wanted this information to be confidential. But they had received an email asking them, compelling them to use in their signatures, their email signatures, to use the pronoun stuff, to list all the pronouns that the person in question or anyone working at the organization should use. So in this case, it went well beyond Jordan's concern of the government compelling him to address another using gender pronouns. In this case, the institution was compelling an individual to participate in the gender pronoun story, not so much in how they address others, but that they should signal how they wish to be addressed, even though the person in question does not have any issues with their gender. They are cis-normative, but everyone should abide to this new gender pronoun reality. Now that's a lot more serious than the original, more constrained concern of Jordan that no one should compel another to speak in a particular way. And just today, I opened my emails. I usually try to stay away from my emails, but I opened my emails this morning because I just have so much stuff coming my way. And I saw, again, I won't mention any details, some doctoral students were being compelled by their universities that when they're wearing name tags, that they should have on their name tags the whole gender pronoun issue. And even though they did not feel comfortable doing this, there might be repercussions coming their way. And so these people contacted me, contacted Jordan Peterson and Janice Fiamingo, because they were very concerned that they were going to get into trouble. So now think back of when I appeared in front of the Canadian Senate, I actually mentioned things well beyond gender pronoun issues. And the, quote, liberal senators scoffed and mocked and laughed in a grotesque display of the theater of the absurd, right? Because they were making fun of my concerns. And guess what? At every step of the way, as I said, I've been vindicated. Not because I'm a prophet, or maybe I am, but because I'm able to use my brain to extrapolate where a particular trend is going. And so therefore, when I warn people, it's not because I'm trying to be hyperbolic. It's not because I'm trying to be a fearmonger. It's because I have been in the ecosystem of the universities for 25 plus years. I'm 25 years as a professor, and of course many years before that as a student, and I see how the trends are going. When you now apply for grants, research grants, the top research grants in the country, you have to incorporate in many instances DIE statements. DIE, the DIE religion is the acronym that I've given for diversity, inclusion, and equity. And so it is no longer about whether the grant that I apply for has scientific merits. I have to demonstrate how it will adhere to DIE principles, what I will do to adhere to DIE principles if I'm hiring someone, how will the research adhere to DIE issue, and so on and so forth. This is not a joke. Science is the means by which we assort good ideas from bad ideas. Science is what allows me to speak to you today, and thousands of you will be able to hear me. Science is everywhere. Science is what has liberated us from the shackles of superstition. And yet, there is a constant, pernicious, never-ending attack on the most basic tenets of science, of reason, of logic, of common sense, in the service of so-called social justice. And as I've explained before, I am the most staunch supporter of the rights of the downtrodden. I'm the guy in high school who would stand up to the bully to fight. This is why I do what I do today. This is part of my personhood. That doesn't mean, though, that in the pursuit of an individual's rights, we should all be forced to celebrate your personhood. And in celebrating your personhood, we should be imposed your view of how the world should be structured. We don't live in a gender-neutral world. We don't live in a gender-free societies. We are a sexually reproducing species where 99.999% of people are cis-normative. And so if many of us don't wish to exhibit how woke we are by listing our gender pronouns, in a free society, that's certainly something that should be allowed. So again, Jordan Peterson was vindicated and Gad Saad was vindicated. And to all those of you who scoffed and mocked our positions, shame on you. Because again, we all support the rights for all people to live free of bigotry, but not at the cost of murdering the truth. Have a good day, everybody.